Most unusual deaths in human history, Part 3. Jimmy Heselden, the owner of Segway Incorporated, died after riding his Segway off of a cliff. In October of 2008, a 43-year-old Irish mother of 4 died after having sex with a German Shepherd. The dog's semen triggered an allergic reaction, causing the woman's death. I guess some allergies you just have to find out about the hard way. Woof woof. During a soccer match in the Democratic Republic of Congo, all 11 members of a soccer team were struck and killed by lightning. The other team went home safe and victorious. In 1993, a lawyer from Toronto named Gary Hoy was trying to prove that one of his client's windows were completely unbreakable. He then proceeded to dive into one of the windows and, without breaking, it popped out of its frame, causing him to fall 24 floors to his death. On October 21st, 1998, a poodle named Ketchy inadvertently caused 4 deaths. It fell from a 13-story balcony, landing on an old lady, killing both of them instantly. Then, a woman crossed the street to see what happened and was hit by a bus, and a man who witnessed the 3 deaths take place had a heart attack and died on the spot. Most unusual deaths in human history, Part 2. In 2014, a 23-year-old Indian soccer player named Peter Biak Sengzula scored a goal and did a somersault to celebrate. However, he landed awkwardly on his neck and died due to spinal cord injuries. A 25-year-old man named Akbar Salabiro went missing on March 25, 2017. His remains were found 2 weeks later inside the body of a reticulated python, meaning that this was the first case of a snake swallowing an adult human whole. Kenneth Pinion, an engineer from Washington, and 2 other men filmed and uploaded videos of Kenneth making love to a stallion under the alias Mr. Hands. In one particular video, Kenneth received fatal injuries from the horse, dying of a perforated colon. A 28-year-old Japanese man with intellectual disabilities named Hayato Terata ran away from his living facility and into a grocery store. It was there that he ate so many donuts that he choked to death. Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, Part 8. Much like small peepees on guys, in ancient Greece, the unibrow was a sign of great beauty and intelligence in women. Oh, can you... After using the bathroom, ancient Romans used a sponge on the end of a stick to wipe their ass. And this same dirty sponge was shared by everyone in the community. Okay, this might be the one time that sharing is not caring. If you were found guilty of adultery in ancient Greece, the husband of the woman with whom you committed the crime had the right to sodomize you with radishes. In the Middle Ages, beaver testicles were considered a delicacy, so they were hunted specifically for this reason. But beavers eventually started to realize this, so they began biting off their own testicles so hunters would stop chasing them. Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 25. In 2012, a group of 10 travelers from New Zealand boarded a hot air balloon. But during the landing process, the balloon collided with the power line, causing it to erupt into flames, killing all 10 people and the pilot on board. This is the last photo ever taken of Kim Wall, a journalist who was stabbed 15 times by Danish inventor Peter Madsen after she boarded his homemade submarine to interview him. This image shows brothers Nick and Jack Savage taken just a few hours before their death. Their mother found them dead in their sleep after experimenting the previous night with opioids just a few days after their high school graduation. This photo of Bart and Kevin Whitaker was taken a few hours before a hitman that Bart had hired attempted to kill his entire family after they returned home from a graduation dinner. Sadly, his father was the only member of the family who survived. Notice Bart's hand. Selfies that were taken right before death, Part 1. In 2014, Oscar Reyes participated in the Selfie Olympics and took a photo of himself hanging from his bathroom door. A few seconds later, he slipped and fell, hitting his head on the toilet and dying from severe blood loss. Andrew McCauley attempted to be the first man to kayak from Australia to New Zealand. He took this selfie and texted his family that he would be home soon, but drowned just 30 miles away from the finish line. In 2011, 3 teens in Utah took this selfie together on the train tracks. It appears to be a happy, ordinary photo, but the glare on the right side of the screen is from the train that runs into them just a few seconds later. Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, Part 7. The first vibrator in history was invented by Cleopatra. She filled up a hollow gourd with angry bees, causing the gourd to vibrate rapidly, and the rest is history. 4 different popes have died during or because of sex. 2 of a heart attack during, and 2 because they were killed by the husbands of the women that they had an affair with. Immediately after bussing onto his wife, the father of microbiology, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek, whipped out his microscope and observed sperm cells for the first time in human history. According to some accounts, King Tut was mummified with a boner. If you have an erection that lasts longer than 2,000 years, please contact an archaeologist for immediate medical assistance. The man who created autopilot, Lawrence Sperry, tested it out by having sex on board with his lover. However, the two bumped the controls and crashed the plane. Shocking war facts that school definitely didn't teach you, Part 4. During World War II, Americans were so suspicious of Germans that German Shepherd dogs were killed. When he knew that he would soon be home from a battle, Napoleon would specifically request that his wife not bathe for several days until they had sex. Napoleon wanted a lady in the streets, but a stank freak in the sheets. During World War II, the tallest German soldier, who stood a staggering 7'6", surrendered to the smallest British soldier, who was nearly 3 feet shorter than him. Many of the men who died in the Civil War were listed as missing because they were killed by explosions that immediately turned them into red mist. With no remains left to identify them, these men are still considered missing in action. Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Part 3. The acid in your body is strong enough to dissolve razor blades, which is why your stomach is in a constant battle to not digest itself. When you get a sunburn, your cells are dying to avoid becoming cancerous. A sneeze can blow out of your nose at over 100 miles an hour. So next time, be careful, because it's actually possible to break a rib simply by sneezing. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and feel like your heartbeat is in your mouth, it isn't your imagination. Your organs are actually moving around inside your body. Humans are bioluminescent, meaning that we glow in the dark, but our eyes are just too weak to see it. There's a condition known as fatal insomnia, where one day you can't go to sleep and eventually you die because of this lack of sleep. You know that moment when you're about to fall asleep and suddenly you flinch because you feel like you're falling? This is actually known as a hypnic jerk, and it alerts your body that you're dying, or at least thinks that you're dying. Unusual deaths in human history, Part 1. A little under a month ago, the body of a 39-year-old man was discovered hanging upside down inside the leg of a papier-mâché stegosaurus. He crawled inside head first, trying to retrieve his phone, but got trapped, causing him to experience a slow, painful death. In 2019, a Sri Lankan man was trampled to death by a wild elephant after jumping out of his car and attempting to hypnotize it. In 2016, a 10-year-old boy named Caleb Schwab was decapitated when he was ejected from his ride on Verrucht, a 168-foot tall water slide at Schlitterbahn Water Park. In late 2019, a family in Iowa was trying to make a viral gender reveal to announce the sex of their baby. The family proceeded to fill a steel umbrella stand with gunpowder, inadvertently making a pipe bomb, causing 56-year-old Pamela Kreimeier to be hit in the head with shrapnel, killing her instantly. Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Part 2. The water you drink has probably been inside of someone or something else. Constipation can make you vomit poop. A teratoma is a rare type of tumor that can grow hair, teeth, bones, intestines, and more. There is a bloody skeleton living inside of you. Bone dust smells like Cool Ranch Doritos. This is what the MRI of a baby looks like. Holy shit. Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, Part 6. Greeks, Romans, and Spartans were really into anal for both sexes. Male warriors would do it as a sign of camaraderie and brotherhood, and women would do it before marriage as they only had to be vaginal virgins to get married. The first ever condoms were made of discarded animal parts, such as pig intestines and lambskin. Queen Victoria's oldest son, King Edward VII, had a love chair custom made for having sex with multiple people at the same time. The same chair later sold for $4 million. In ancient Greece, large peepees were a sign that someone was foolish or stupid, which is why many statues depict small peepees, because this was a sign of intellect. When Phryne, an Athenian on trial in ancient Greece, flashed her boobs to the court, the judges thought they were so perfect that they decided to spare her life. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 26. Atoms are 99% nothing, which makes us 99% nothing as well. Also, if you come in contact with someone or something, you're not actually touching them. You're simply sensing the repulsion between your atoms and theirs. You can get bed bugs from movie theater seats. In 1386, a French pig was publicly executed for the murder of a child. The pig was given full legal representation and provided human clothes for the trial. A 7-year-old South African girl is more likely to be raped than to receive an education. In the 1950s, many babies in orphanages didn't cry very often because they knew their cries wouldn't be answered. Hans Langseth, the man with the longest beard in history, died when he tripped over it and cracked his neck. The maximum prison sentence in Brazil is 30 years, meaning that mass murderers like Pedro Rodrigues Filho, who killed over 100 people, are walking free today. Horror movie facts that will haunt your nightmares. Part 2. Coraline. The soundtrack in the movie is a French children's choir singing. Surprisingly, they aren't actually singing in French. They're singing in a completely made-up language. If you look on the wall of the dining room in the other mother's home, you'll see 3 portraits of silhouettes. These likely represent the 3 ghost children that appear later in the film. In the normal world, the boy is sad and has dropped his ice cream. But in the other world, he's happy and his ice cream is perfect. On the back of the chair above where Coraline's doll sits features a small flower-shaped pattern. And this flower is almost exactly like the one on the back of Jack Torrance's chair in The Shining. The Welcome Home cake features a double loop on the O. And according to graphology, a double loop on the lowercase o means that the person who wrote it is not telling the truth. But on the cake, there is actually only one double loop, meaning that Coraline is welcome, but she is not home. Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 24. On June 18, 1964, protesters jumped into a whites-only pool at a hotel in Florida. In an effort to drive them out, the hotel owner started pouring acid into the water. This is the last photo of cave diver John Jones. He took a wrong turn in the famous Nutty Putty Cave and fell down a hole and was stuck upside down for 27 hours until he eventually died due to cardiac arrest. June and Jennifer Gibbons, known as the Silent Twins, were inseparable sisters who eventually stopped speaking to other people. And the twins had an agreement that if one died, the other must start speaking and live a normal life. Shortly after their release from a mental health hospital, Jennifer died of mysterious causes, and June spoke the next day for the first time in over 20 years. Shocking war facts that school definitely didn't teach you, Part 3. During a sea battle between Uruguay and Brazil, Uruguay was low on ammunition, so they made cannonballs out of stale cheese they had on board the ship, and this actually led to them winning the fight. Plastic surgery was actually created during World War II by a surgeon who fixed soldiers' faces who had been shot in the war. During the Korean War, a group of Marines were low on ammunition and codenamed the delivery Operation Tootsie Rolls. However, the radio operator misunderstood and sent a mass delivery of Tootsie Rolls instead. A lot of people know the story of Adolf Hitler, one of the most evil people in history to ever live, but less know the story of William Hitler, his half-nephew who fled to the US, served in the American Navy, and was even awarded a Purple Heart Medal. When sailing to the Americas, Christopher Columbus came across manatees, which he mistook for mermaids. It's also worth noting that manatees have vaginas which are most anatomically similar to humans. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. In 1493, Columbus may have had sex with a manatee. Ancient Egyptians used crocodile poop as a contraceptive. Women would shove it up their vagina to block the sperm, and because it was so acidic, that shit actually worked. Benjamin Franklin was really into GILFs. He even wrote a letter to a close friend describing the benefits of an older lady. He writes, "The upstairs ages, but the downstairs does not." Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Part 1. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. Your penis has rifling. That's why the stream twists. If you decapitate someone, their head will remain conscious for 15 to 20 seconds, which is long enough for them to realize what you did to them. Shocking war facts that school definitely didn't teach you, Part 2. Before his presidency, George Bush Sr. served as a pilot during World War II. During the war, his plane was shot down in a bombing raid against Japan, and everyone in his 9-man crew was captured, but luckily, he managed to escape. His fellow crew members were tortured, killed, and 4 of them were even eaten by Japanese soldiers. The youngest person to ever fight in the US military, Calvin Graham, was just 12 years old at the time of enlisting. He saw combat and was even awarded a Purple Heart Medal. But after being wounded, his true age was revealed and he was immediately discharged. In 1977, around 500 cars were mysteriously abandoned in a forest near Ardennes, Belgium. The source of these cars is heavily debated, but many believe that American and Canadian soldiers left them behind when they returned home from war. In 1776, a secret committee uncovered evidence that revealed that George Washington's bodyguard was planning to kill him. They then proceeded to execute him, and this secret committee would later become the CIA. In 1983, Soviet commanding officer Stanislav Petrov received a warning signal that indicated that there was an oncoming nuclear missile. However, Petrov felt that something was wrong with the signal and chose to disobey Soviet protocol, which required him to fire a missile immediately when a warning signal went off. It was later revealed to be a false alarm, but had he followed protocol and fired, a nuclear war would have broken out. Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, Part 4. King Herod had his wife's body preserved in honey after she died. He then proceeded to have sex with her dead corpse for 7 years. Oh, honey. Albert Einstein not only married his first cousin Elsa, but also cheated on her with over 10 other women. Catherine the Great hired full-time professional foot ticklers whose only job was to tickle her feet and sing her songs. Soldiers during World War I were so desperate to get off the battlefield that they intentionally tried to get STDs so they would be discharged and sent home. In the 17th century, there was a form of twerking called molding cockle bread. It was the craze for young women at the time and turned the mundane actions of making bread into a sexual fun act.